advertising for gift certificates and then give the gift certificates to our readers. I finally worked a deal with one of our local banks where we get actual Visa cash cards, so that what we do is we give away the cash card so they can use it anywhere they want in the community, and then we sell sponsorships around the advertisements. So people log in, they put in their phone number, their email address because they want to win a $50 or $100 gift card, and then they also have all the rest of the advertisements around it. And after they hit submit, it also sends them to a page that says, here's the sponsors for our contest, to try to engage them more with our advertisers. We also really try to push it big time when it comes to holiday season, because everybody wants to buy gifts for friends and family, so what better way to get an extra $100 or $150 in your pocket? It's worked out pretty good. Our advertisers like it, and our readers really like it. We get a great response when we're giving cash away, because that's really what we're doing. So. Well, we're a for-profit, so there's no underwriting. So I might go to the bank and say, give me, $500 worth of gift cards, and then we'll give you, $500 worth of advertising. And then I go out to other businesses to sell sponsorships around the advertising. So we kind of like multiply what we're getting out of it. Okay? Thank you.
Brian, what's your site again?
OswegoCountyToday.com. Click the ads a little bit for me. You didn't hear me say that.
Who's got one? $100 on the line. Ah, there's a hand.
I'm Wendy Cohen, and I'm with BerkeleySide.com. And my great idea is hire people like me. I have 27 years of magazine publishing before I went to BerkeleySide. I happen to know the three founders through our children. But when you get to a certain age in advertising, you are no longer really employable. You're making too much money, and they can hire someone who's much younger to do your job. I was laid off in 2008 from, again, 27 years with Condé Nast and Hachette. If there are people like me who have experience, who know how to sell, who know how to build relationships, and who can be incredible assets to you, more than someone who's young. We understand that it takes a certain kind of tenacity and a certain amount of charm to build those relationships, and it can be an incredible asset for your site. So I say hire old people.
And by the way, we have a breakout session later today with Eleanor Sipple and others, and Kelly Gilflin, talking just about that, how to find ad reps. I know that's a topic that many of us are concerned about. So,
Aren't we? Who's next?
Hi, my name is Jesus Sanchez. I'm with the East Sider LA, from LA. And our biggest base of advertisers is in real estate agencies and the like. So what we've created to sort of find these folks who are taking advantage of the major real estate listing websites, in this case it's Redfin. And in order to find out who's active in our neighborhoods, you can filter all the new homes or the new listings by zip code. And then we find out who the agents are that way with their email and their addresses. And we've created these nice postcards featuring neighborhood images. And so we mail them out and then we email them. So we got actually a pretty good response from people who either may not necessarily need us this time, but they're aware that we cover the neighborhoods where they sell homes. And at the same time, we've created more postcards based on using neighborhood images on zip codes. And again, using Redfin, you can filter by who has just sold a house, like in the last 3 months, 6 months. So we will mail out a postcard. Again, it's all by hand. There's no postcard or mail order or anything involved. We just mail that postcard to these new homeowners to let them know, again, that we are their neighborhood news source, because we realize, you just can't do it online. You really do need a physical presence. And the postcards look really pretty.
What's that cost, Jesus?
We use a company called Next Day Flyer, which is in Los Angeles, and for 1,000 postcards, it's $50. And you have a template, and you can switch out. And again, we just switch out the image, basic template on the back of the postcards, color both sides. It's amazing. No, my sister was supposed to. I'll mail you postcards.
Hi, don't know how to speak to everybody. I'm Marcy Setlow, and my partner David Scribner and I publish the Berkshire Edge in southwest corner of Massachusetts. We're very new. I mean, we've been up for about a year, and in our first year, I wanted to make sure that the advertising community or the business community knew us. So we produced a business conference. We got a sponsor from a local bank, and luckily, the man at the local bank was the marketing director of the bank, and so he knew everybody in the county, and he helped me figure out who to invite. So we went through his whole mailing list and came up with about 200 people who are kind of movers and shakers in the community, and we invited 4 very influential people in the community to discuss the topic of economic development and what infrastructure do we have to put in place today to have a robust economy in the future. And we had very good attendance. I invited about 200 people, and we got about 90 people RSVPing that they would come. So we had very high attendance. I got the local cable company, the cable access company, to tape us. And so we had a videotape of the entire discussion, which we put on our site and promoted that. We didn't necessarily get advertising from it because I really didn't invite the small shop owners. I invited really the influentials in the community. But I think it really put us on the map very quickly, and it was very successful.
Dan Myers from statecollege.com. We're a for-profit site. We have a unique niche that we also cover Penn State football. College football is pretty big. We have special sections that go on throughout the year, and one of the things that we do is we sell in-story advertising. So it's an ad that breaks up the content, and it can't be blocked by ad blockers the way we've done it. And we sell it as share of voice. So we went out with a football coverage because we have cost in sending our reporters to the different games and things like that. We came out with 10% share of voice, so there'd be 10 different advertisers that would show up in a rotation basis in that spot. And in 1 week, we sold them at $1,000 a piece, generated $10,000.
Hey, my name is Joe Amditis. Co-founded a site at Rutgers University called Muckers.com. And one of the interesting things we did was a lot of the student groups, and this can happen in a community as well, the groups were holding events. We sought out groups that didn't actually have a lot of resources at their disposal. We sought out groups that didn't actually have a lot of resources at their disposal, but were dealing with some important issues in our community, and we offered to live stream the events for them. We set up a shoestring kind of backpack rig. We went there with a laptop, a webcam, and Google Hangouts, live streamed the content, promoted it in the lead up to the events, and then we critiqued the hell out of it afterwards and told them everything they did wrong. I mean, it happened to be a debate about whether or not Condoleezza Rice should speak at Rutgers or not. And so we went, not only did it give us promotion and it gave us a relationship, but it gave us content to discuss afterwards. And we're still, even after we stopped publishing, we're still a household name among several little groups and communities at Rutgers still. So it was a fun experience. So we learned how to do a really cool technical thing, and we made relationships. So. We just used a simple, Logitech clip-on webcam. We put up a tripod, nothing fancy. It was, an under $50 kind of kit. I mean, it was something you can shoestring, bring along. We even had multiple camera angles because we had our smartphones logged into the Google Hangout, and then one person with the laptop can click to the different cameras on the bottom and show it to the screen. So we had multiple camera angles, roving cameras, all for what was in my pocket and in the tech drawer in my house. So it was pretty cool, and you can do that with a bunch of different things at a bunch of different events. So.
Hey, Brian,
No,
could
we
you,
didn't
you mentioned your partnership with the newspaper. I think maybe people would be a little bit interested in hearing more about how that works because it's fairly unique. And
Sure. 6 years ago, the Daily Progress in Charlottesville approached us and asked for a partnership. Over the past 6 years, we've been providing them our news coverage with no money changing hands, which often raises a lot of eyebrows, people wondering about our business model. So we give them our content for free, and the reason is it gets us in front of a lot more people in the community. So we're a nonprofit partnering with a for-profit in that way. We cover land use, transportation, community design, public education. And on those topics, we're now 62% of the newspaper. So we're the majority of the newspaper's news coverage of the most important quality of life issues in our community. Yep, land use, transportation, community design, and public education. But in kind, what we get is publishing of things like that annual report I mentioned. Right now they're producing our voter guide, which will be mailed out to every household in the community. It's a 20-page in-depth piece, and they're printing that for us.
Quick question, what's your website?
Charlottesville Tomorrow, cvilletomorrow.org. I'd be happy to talk about news partnerships with anybody that's interested in that.
Hi, I'm Jan Schaefer from JLab. I don't actually run a site, I've funded them, but a couple of ideas from some of my people that have been on my radar screen. And I can't tell who this was, I can't remember who this was anymore, so if it was one of your ideas, I don't mean to steal it, but to share it. We had a site once who bought the pizza boxes for their local favorite pizza joint and plastered the lids with ads for their sites, and then just gave it to the local pizza parlors to deliver their pizzas and have your site in their face. So that's always stuck in my mind as a great idea. I know, I recuse myself from the $100, it's not mine. And the other idea I had was from Missoula, Montana, not I had, but one of the people I track, Missoula, Montana, and I don't know if it's even technologically relevant now, was that they bought the servers for the local coffee shops in town and programmed it so that the first time people would come into the coffee shop and hook up, the landing page would be their site. And so it would automatically take people to their place. So 2 things to think about.
Sharon with Your Local News, and I call it Your Local News because it now encompasses a magazine as well. Somebody approached me about buying a magazine, and I was like, no, I'm online. And she said it might help you, and it really did, because it kind of gave me a bit of respectability. You would just, that online, the real newspaper got it, but I could say I was a publisher because it was a magazine. It's only twice a year, but I'm able to sell packages where I can say, like right now I'm doing my full winter issue, and it's like we're having our holiday buyer's guide, and whatever appears in the magazine is going to be online as well. So it has helped with that crossover selling.
Hi everybody, my name is David Yoder. I'm with Richland Source in the middle of Ohio, and we're in the middle of football season. And 2 years ago, it was my task to troll Twitter and find about 14 active high school football game scores and report them live. It's something our readers asked for and wanted, and I'm happy to say this year I found a tool called ScoreStream. It's a third-party app, and it's free for every user to download. What it gives a publisher is an embed widget that you can put as a scrolling banner for all your live scores, and then you can do a box HTML embed. And I'm happy to say we've crowdsourced. We've not only we've expanded our teams by 30%, and we've crowdsourced all those scores, and we've added about 30% to our Friday night traffic and doubled our Saturday traffic. So we've been really happy with that, so thought I'd pass that tip along. It's ScoreStream, all one word. And sometimes I'll have to jump in and update games myself, but I'm down to from 16 to like 3 games.
So when you say crowdsourced, do you have people who are known to you who are feeding this in?
So I use a variety. I push it out to my athletic directors, and then I also confirm those. Other publications in my region also use it, so sometimes other publications report those scores for me, and I can trust them, but I verify them. I just act as a monitor, so no, I'm not just spooling out So there has been a couple kids who thought they were hilarious and would run up the score. They're back-end tools that I just took control of it. I reported it to the score stream contact I have, and he said, not a problem, we'll have you up in 2 minutes. 2 minutes later, I had access, and I corrected it. So it really eased the accuracy, and we're by far the fastest, and we usually finish up before I used to have to find scores elsewhere, and I'm happy to say our scoreboard is faster than our competitors this year because of that. And one, for example, I even have a band parent who I know reporting every score, every game. So you can find those connections, and we're very, very close to finishing it. Long-term goal over the next 3 years is to get as many sports as possible then, because you can set up your athletic directors as official managers of those accounts, and they can just report them, and it's a one-touch entry. It's pretty slick.
And you're finding that they're willing to put that work in and do it?
Yeah, it's much easier than being called at 3 a.m. in the morning. That's something that we wouldn't call them at 3 a.m., but 1 a.m. would happen occasionally.
Yeah.
That they'd be called, and they love not being called. They love punching it in, and two fans will get involved, and they'll upload photos and the live video. So it's slowly getting there, but first, I think it's worth a look. Is this a mobile interface for the athletic directors? Exactly. It's a mobile app, and you can do some things on desktop with it, but it's a mobile app, and you can score it just by manually punching in with a calculator, or you can score it by how they scored. So you can say this was a touchdown, this was a safety, this was an extra point, depending on your comfort level.
Who's got one? Who's got a great tip? Sure.
So I just wanted to add something to what you had done. When I first started out, what I found when I started going on sales calls is no one knew who we were. So we created a business forum. We did it on a Monday night after 6 o'clock, hoping that it would help the small merchants have an opportunity to be there. We didn't charge them. And we took a look at micro and macro economics in Berkeley at the time, and had the mayor and had the director of urban planning, had a bank that was real interested that wanted to give out pens and paper, and it did a huge amount for us in terms of identification. I will say that when we did an open mic, which in Berkeley can be very, very scary, and we had one man who owns Amoeba Records, which is considered the biggest record store in the country, but he has a store in Berkeley, and across the street there's an empty lot that's owned by a competitor. And he got up and said, no one wants to talk about the rats on Telegraph Avenue. And there are rats because the street people throw their pizza across in there, and it's rats. So one of my partners had to go, and it's now called Rat Cam, and you can find it on YouTube, and took pictures of the rats. But it did what you did, but it also brought us identification with the local merchants, and it was well worth the effort.
Does anyone have an experiment they've tried recently that didn't work out that you have lessons from, maybe?
Come on, we've all crashed and burned.
Hi, I'm Darren Hillock from WestCityEye.com in Kenosha County, Wisconsin. And I was trying to decide whether to share this because it's mostly it was a good lesson learned, but it was not the outcome we expected. So at one point, after a few years, we've been around with West City Eye for 6 years. At about the 2-year mark, we decided to try an expansion. Kenosha County is kind of divided into a more rural part and a more urban part, and the more rural part is where we live, and that's where we started the initial site. We decided to try the urban side. I had worked there for the newspaper over there, and we felt like we had a good handle on it. And we tried an edgier approach than West City Eye. We tried because they already had a newspaper and a radio station, so we were going to try to do something different. And we got really good traction and traffic, et cetera, but we never could really get traction on advertising. And we pulled the plug after 3 years. But the idea part was if you have an idea, hopefully it won't be as grandiose of a failure as that one was, but I would encourage you to try your idea, because successful or not successful, we learned a lot about why our other site was very successful by trying this other site. And I think if we do another expansion, we'll know better how to base it on strengths of our organization because of it. So,
On the idea of experimenting and stopping the experiment, did you run that a little too long, or did you stop it at the right point? What made you decide to, what was the determining factor in walking away from that?
I think we.
Besides not wanting to do it anymore, and
Yeah, it was financial. I mean, I think if we'd had more ability to let it ride a little longer, we probably could have let it ride a little longer. Probably in hindsight, I know right at the time I thought, oh, we went too long with this. But a couple years out, I don't know. It didn't cause any long-term damage, and we gave it this way. I feel like we gave it a good ride, and we were really sure of our decision when we made it. We weren't. So I feel better about feeling that maybe we went a little longer, but we were sure about it than if we had gone too short.
I think that one of the advantages that we all have as small publishers is the ability to do that, to try something, and maybe it's not a new site, maybe it's just a new area of coverage, a new way of covering things, experiment, and if it doesn't work, you don't have like that institutional momentum behind it that 50 people worked on this project all across your company, and now you're going to do this thing for the next 8 years, even though it's not working out. It just stop.
Yeah,
and,
it was just like
try something else.
It was just like what made it possible to start in the first place. The same
Exactly.
thing.
Somebody up here had.
Hi, I'm Denise Lockwood with the Racine County Eye news website. When we first started, we were really looking for ways to get in front of a lot more advertisers a little quicker. And we came up with this idea of having a meet and greet. So we didn't really have a whole lot of money. It was kind of like we were living on love. And what we did was we actually partnered with a number of businesses in town, like restaurants and things along that line, and did an ad trade. And they basically would feed us, and then we basically would invite about 50 advertisers, potential advertisers, and we would get probably about 15 to 25 people that came to the meet and greet. And then we had a little kind of networking thing where we were talking a little bit about what their interests were as far as advertising and their businesses and story ideas and things along that line. And then we put a presentation together that was probably about a half hour, 45 minutes long. And then we would usually get we would end up getting probably about 3 to 5 ad leads that would turn into longer term type ads. But then we also were able to really connect with businesses, and we would always end up having a big Q&A about what was going on. And we would get a lot of really great ad or story ideas as well on that whole thing. And it worked out really well. So we do those once a month. And I'm also going to be trying this kind of on a smaller scale in setting up. We have a local incubator type workspace that's called the Launchbox. It's affiliated with one of the technical colleges in town, and they have a lot of new businesses. So we're going to be starting some kind of office hours on advertising 101, and how to reach your audience and what we're about and things along that line. So I'm going to start working on that when we get back to the thriving metropolis of Racine, Wisconsin. So.
One of the interesting things that I've noticed in what Doug Rainey said last night, when Brian said he covers land use planning, he covers education, and he listed out like 4 specific things, is understanding what you are and then kind of what you're not, and not getting distracted and trying to do everything and finding out what your niche is. So maybe you don't cover touch crime news, or maybe you don't cover high school sports, or maybe that's a niche that really is needed. So.
You know, I don't think any of us have the capacity to do it all in the way that we might have gotten used to in much larger news organizations. But that doesn't mean you can't go out and really kick ass on the things that you decide to do, and, you know, just beat the pants off of those guys.
Hi, I'm Kelly Gilfillan, Homepage Media Group. We have 4 sites in Williamson County, Tennessee. One of the things we've done, we're about to do our 5th one, is 4 years ago we started the Be Healthy Challenge with a partner. It was her idea. She brought it to us, and we're the vehicle with that through which it ran. And basically, it runs like this. We put it out there that we're going to have the Be Healthy Challenge. It's 12 weeks. It's free to the participant. They get to work out at a gym 3 days a week with a personal trainer on a team. So you have your accountability to your team, to your trainer. Oh, and we have a nutritionist that they work with. So how we make money at it is everybody who comes to be in the challenge has to bring a sponsor. So they go to their contacts who they do business with and say, will you sponsor me? It's $1,500, and I will go through this challenge, and it's going to change my life, and I really need this right now. And so they bring us, the first time we did it, we had 25 participants. 23 of them were able to find sponsors. 2 of them tried really hard and could not, and so I had my site sponsor them because they had earned it. And you do get a mix of your existing advertisers who are really interested in doing something like that, and you already kind of have a connection with them, to them bringing you the new advertisers. So basically, people are bringing them to your doorstep, and they get healthy. And we always have somebody from our company go through it. Like we're doing our 5th one right now, and I'm going through it, and it's just great to be in there and get the feedback and see what they're doing. But it's really become a thing in the community. Everybody kind of knows what the Be Healthy Challenge is, and I don't know. It really helped us have a good reputation for caring about our community. Kind of takes us to that next step. And we're on our 5th one, and we've gone from 25 participants to 100 participants this last time, 103. It can be an individual or a business, and if somebody wants to sponsor themselves and pay the $1,500, we can use the advertising to benefit a nonprofit that they care about. And we probably had about 5 people do that.
So who organizes the training and the nutritionist? Who puts all of that together?
Our partner, Renee Yarbrough, and she kind of brought it to us, and she handles that part, and we handle all of the sponsors and they get advertising for the $1,500. So they get a trade, they get something out of it besides the goodwill of who they sponsored. And one of the most important parts is not only do they get the $1,500 advertising package, but all the participants blog about their sponsors. They're required to blog once a week and put it on social media 3 times a week. And so they're getting that. You can't pay for it. You can't pay for that. You can't pay one of your customers to talk really nice about you on Facebook. But this requires them to do that, and that has been a big attraction.
So is it one specific gym that, is that?
No, that's the fun part. This time we have 12 gyms, and there's a winner. So they're competing against each other. They want their team to win. They're working that team. It's hundreds or probably thousands of inches and pounds lost at this point but they want to be the winning gym, because then we promote that for them, and the gyms get advertising from us too. We have a Be Healthy Guide section that runs all year, and they get to be in it all year with a free ad, and they do all of that for free. But they don't really care so much about that. They appreciate it, but what they care about is getting those people in the gym. Like I did it 3 years ago. I'm still at that gym. I love it because it changed my life, And so when we're going out selling it, it's really easy to say, hey, I used to be 25 pounds heavier, and now I run half marathons, and this is what you're going to do for somebody, So it's fun. Okay.
We've got time for just a few more.
Yeah, we got about 5 minutes, I think. 4 or 5 minutes? 3 minutes? 3 minutes.
Hello, I'm Olwyn Logan. I publish 2 sites in southeast Connecticut, Limeline.com, which covers 2 very small towns, and Valley News Now that covers 3 pretty small towns. And this idea is so simple, and it might not apply to a lot of your urban areas, but we have a huge festival. Old Lyme is known as the home of American Impressionism. It's a real arty town. So we have this Midsummer Festival, and thousands of people come to it. Only 7,000 people live in Old Lyme, but we're just invaded for a weekend. So we take a table there, which costs us nothing because I'm on the organizing committee. We ask our advertisers who have something that they can donate to give us a raffle prize, which we have a number of theaters that advertise with us, so they give us tickets. We have a snack company, they give us a box of chips. We throw in some advertising. And we just run a raffle with a big sign advertising us in front of it. And people just come and everybody wants to win something. It costs them nothing. How they enter is they give us an email address. And then at the end of the day, we just draw out winners. But when they give us their email, they agree that we can add them to our newsletters and that our advertisers can add them to their newsletters. And everybody does it. So our advertisers benefit because they get the names, we get the names. People don't tend to give us false addresses because then we can't contact them. We're not interested in calling them by phone. We want their emails. And so we end the day with our visibility raised. We often secure some advertising during the day just by talking to people. And then we have happy advertisers who get a bunch of emails, and we have a lot more people know about us than they did before. And that's it.
So I'm Doug Hardy with Connecticut News Junkie, and I wanted to mention a business directory, and a lot of that may sound kind of elementary. A lot of you probably have business directories, but what we've done is we've packaged that with advertising in a way. Essentially, if you're a member of our directory, you get an agency rate. Rather than just giving agency rates to agencies, we want them to be members of our directory, and it's a payment, an annual payment. So we're using that to give us a base of advertising revenue through the directory, because most of our advertising is seasonal. So there are periods of the year where for 9 years we had no revenue at all, and it finally got old. But as you can imagine. But that business directory, a lot of you may have it, and maybe you started it, and you said this is a good idea, and I'm just going to give it away for free, and then it sort of just became this part of the site that no one touches, and that happens with a lot of projects. But if you integrate things like a directory or your calendar with your advertising products, it'll all kind of coagulate, and they'll feed off each other, like our calendar too. It's free to use, but we're not going to promote your events unless you give us a little bit of money. And so you get them to do their events and do their own self-promotion, and that's a great service if they don't have their own calendar. But ask them for a little bit of money to top your email blast with their event for a day. So if you're going to add stuff to your site, really, that's the idea. If you're going to add stuff to your site, integrate it with your advertising and your revenue products.
I think we've got time for maybe 1 or 2 more before we have a short coffee break.
I'm Ed Litvak from the Lowdown, which is in the Lower East Side of New York City. We, in May and June, conducted a crowdfunding to support year-long coverage of small business survival. All through New York, rents are going up so ridiculously high that the authentic mom and pop kinds of businesses that all of our readers know and love are disappearing. And so it really touched a nerve. We had a goal of raising $24,000. We raised about $28,000. And more important than the money was the engagement with our community that occurred, not only from people who are readers and just care about the topic a lot, but also potential advertisers, small businesses, obviously. It really struck a nerve with them as well. And there are the kinds of businesses that really don't advertise, don't have a need to advertise, not part of their business model, who reached out and said, we just want to support this. And so that was a surprise to us, and really the biggest value that we derived from it.
Thank you, everybody. That was great. And we're going to have a post up in the conference blog with some short summaries, and you guys will be able to vote on the winner and see who's going to be the most popular person at the bar tonight, because they got $100 in their pocket. And we're going to take a very short coffee break right now. And so grab a cup of coffee and be back here in, well, a little bit less than 10 minutes, I think, at this point.
We'll start right at 10. So.
And we're going to have some lightning rounds, some real quick hits to get us all some exposures to some really cool stuff.